Good morning and welcome to America's Home Cooking. I told you I was coming back. Okay, we're making Williamsburg buns for tomorrow morning's breakfast. I make them ahead of time and it makes it easier for me than trying to make it the day in the morning and the schedule's all messed up. We're going to need 2 cups of flour. I am going to add a half a cup of whole wheat and 1.5 cups of all-purpose. Where did I put those measuring spoons on? I got them out. And the reason I do that is to make sure that we get those B vitamins and the trace minerals that we need. By adding that whole wheat flour or any whole grain, you can do that. Now I'm going to use my culture discard, but you can use buttermilk in place of it if you wish for this recipe. Okay. I got 1.5 cups of flour here, and I'm adding a half a cup of whole wheat. So these will be light. Now that cereal that I just had, breakfast that I did for breakfast, the video before this, is delicious. One of my sons and I are already thinking that we should make muffins with this. This has got really good flavor. So see, there's a lot of things that we could do. We need a tablespoon of baking powder. And a half a teaspoon of salt. Let's see. All right, now for those of you who buy your baking powder, this next ingredient you're going to have to add in. Now, if you make your own baking powder, you do not have to worry about this ingredient because it won't work because of the way we make our baking powder. But for those who buy theirs in the store, you're also going to have to add 1/4 teaspoon of baking soda. And that's it. All right. We're going to mix all this up before we add the next ingredient. And the reason I'm doing this is to make sure that the salt and the baking powder is thoroughly mixed with the whole wheat flour. Okay, what we're going to add next is a half a cup of currants. I found currants. Now, if you don't have currants and you can't find them, by all means, please sit there and use raisins. And if you want pieces that look like currants, just sit there and chop the raisins up a bit, and you'll get the illusion of currants. Don't you come out yet. I'm not ready for you yet. I have to separate trash so much it gets confusing at times. We used to do it, we didn't have to worry about things like today, plastics and stuff. We didn't have that. Everything we had actually went into the trash. You could burn it, bury it, it will break down. Now, what's the difference from a currant and a raisin? You know how big raisins are? This is how small a currant is. I had 3 currant plants in the backyard that I was growing, but my neighbor built a retaining wall and caused me to they actually killed 2 of my plants. And I was not happy about that. Okay, since all of you are coming out, let's just get you out of here and then I'll measure you. And currants come black, red on the plant, and a champagne color as well. I think I dropped one. I dropped 2. drop more of the water. So if you grow currants, they're really nice. The red ones are tart. The champagne are milder, but they have a little tartness to them. And the dark ones, the animals never give me time to try that one. But I hope, I don't, do I have it? No, I lost it too. But I never got around to trying it because the birds ate them before I got to them. So the only one I have left is the red one, which I'm not happy about, but I deal with it. So if you're using raisins, just chop them up some, and you'll have the little bits like currant. But they used to use currants a long time ago, and now they're almost impossible to find. That's why everybody says raisins, but I always look for currants, and they had them in the store, and I was so grateful. I picked up 3 or 4 bags. Okay, that's it. We'll get another bowl and we'll put the liquid into it, I think. They want 2/3 of a cup of buttermilk. Now, because this is my discard, I'm going to have to add more because it's really, really thick. And when it's thick like this, you have to add more because it's not going to break down as easy. Let me see if I can add it there. And they want 2 teaspoons of sherry. I don't have a sherry, so I am using a wild berry wine, and I'm going to add 2 teaspoons to it. Sorry, it was not 2 tablespoons, it's 2 teaspoons. So if you have a sweet sherry, by all means add it to your buttermilk. If you're using buttermilk, if you're using your discard, use it in your discard and mix it up. Oh, I think these are going to be good. See, I tell you, I cook with it, but I don't drink it. Unless they put it in something that really hits my taste buds, then I'll have it. See, the sherry made it, my wine made it pink. So if you're using buttermilk, use what I told you. If you're using a discard, you have to add a little more because it is, you know, thick. You have to grease a baking sheet, and we're going to set this oven to 375. Make sure your shelf is in the middle. I'm always saying that. You must be tired of hearing me say that. Okay. Just until ingredients are moist. Yeah, I know that. I'm going to make a well. I don't know if I have to, but I'm going to. Because I am noticing when I use my discard, I have to add, you know, a little more because it's so thick. Whereas milk is thinner. There is a difference. As you can see, that this card stays more together, so you have to work it in more. See if I can work this. If I can't, I'll have to add more. No, this is not going to come together. I'm going to need more. I wonder if I should put the wine in instead. You see, I've got about that much that has not come together. I've got all this together, but that's not coming together. Okay, Sandra, where did you put it? Come on, come on, come on, come on. So always remember, if you're using this card, because it is thicker, you have to add more the thicker it is. That's starting to get there. This is the one thing you do have to notice. That's why some people will sit there and add milk and use just part of their discard so they can sit there and get it to work. They want me to knead this. Okay. See, there was no butter added to this. This is just using milk to give it its moisture. That's what makes it harder. If it had eggs and stuff, I could sit there and swing it. But I'm just going to keep on adding until I get the consistency that I need. See what I can do with it on the table. Well, the counter, really. So you can see discard is much different to work with. You can say, that's a mess. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. So if you're using a discard, realize you have to add more liquid and adjust it accordingly. Now, you can use milk and some discard if you wish, and you have to be careful because you might not have to add extra liquid. Once I get this worked in, the currants will be in. I just have to work all this flour in with the discard. Because remember, those women in our past did not waste anything. They could not afford it. Because if they did, that was going to be less food to carry them to the following year. So they had to be careful to use everything. So I don't think they wasted any of the yeast and stuff that they made. See how it's coming together now? It just took me a bit to get it there. And we're just about done working the flower in. Okay. They want you to roll this about an inch thick, so think about how big an inch is. And don't be afraid to take a ruler and measure it out. And you don't want to seem like you don't know what you're doing. You can sit there and use it. I do. I'm not ashamed of it. Because I have some recipes, they're specific on how thick they want it. Like I have a recipe that says I want, hey, that's pretty good, just under an inch. Take a 2-inch biscuit cutter, I think, if I remember correctly. Okay. On a greased baking sheet, you're going to cut out 2-inch. Now, because you have currants or raisins in it, you're going to have to press because you'll have to cut them when you go through. Yes, I'm not using any extra flour. I don't need it. Just making sure, because you can use your hand and just push these out. They're so thick. No, that one's not going to fit. You take this and ball it up and make more. They want them 1 inch apart, by the way. So that means they're going to spread a little. Sorry about that. Hit your leg. Six, 9, 12, 15. I don't think I have to roll this one out anymore. I'm gonna have some more. 16. We have 16, and my cookie sheet's going to be a little on the crowded side. Okay. I know they say to make it a certain distance apart, but I am not going to be able to do that. Oh, so I just move things around, make a little extra room. Now you're going to need some buttermilk, because they had a lot of buttermilk at that time. They made it to keep the milk going. And we're going to brush these with buttermilk, and then we're going to put them in the oven and bake them. By the way, if you make your buttermilk, it's much stronger than the one you get into the store. I remember the buttermilk my parents had. It's much stronger than the ones that we get today. It's like they're trying to make things sweeter for us, and, you know. But you can use buttermilk in place of the discard that I put, or you can use regular milk. I think buttermilk would be better. I wouldn't use milk, I'd use buttermilk. It'd have more rich flavor, closer to the discard that I put on. So remember, if you're using something that's thicker, sometimes you might have to add a little more than you expect. I have one son that gets ready to go to bed. He said, well, what are we having today? Or what are you making? And then I have the other son that wakes up and said, what did you make? Okay. Let me rinse my hands and we'll get it in the oven. That's how long they have to cook. Let's see, how long are they going to cook? 15 to 20 minutes. And I will see you then. Okay, here they are. That's it. The buttermilk gave it a nice topping. So listen, you take care and have a great day. Bye-bye.